This Sunday we have readings and prayers that talk a lot about using our imagination or the imagination of God in creation, ways that we can interact with the sacred using gifts of imagination and creativity. And we see that especially as Christ is looking, as he's talking to a disciple and talking about the law and reimagining the law instead of something that is proscriptive, something that is inviting us in to love God, and from that love of God, outflowing from that is love for neighbor. So we're really thinking about having creative ways that we can approach our spirituality this Sunday. Of course, creativity is a big theme in the Psalms, and many of the Psalms talk about the splendor of creation and how we can be delighted in all of its ways. We'll be singing a setting of Psalm 19, a versification that was done by the Church of England bishop, Timothy Dudley Smith. It's "The Stars Declare His Glory." It's a really beautiful hymn, and it's set in our hymnal with a tune that was written specifically for these words by the American composer Richard Prue, who was active in Chicago. And Richard Prue, sort of as a tip of the hat to those Midwestern connections that he had, this really feels like American songbook. I mean, it's almost something that you might imagine that if George Gershwin had ever wanted to write a hymn tune, that this might be what he would have come up with. We're also very excited this Sunday that we are going to be having a baptism, and we are going to be baptizing one of Simon Hall's clan, his youngest, Clark. And we're very excited. During this time of COVID, during the pandemic, we had a lot of baptisms that, for safety reasons and to keep everyone healthy, we had some private baptisms in the chapel between the 8 o'clock and 10:30 services, or even a few that happened through the week. And of course, that's something that the church moved away from theologically when we went to the Book of Common Prayer in 1979, that we really brought baptism into the principal act of worship and made it a communal thing. And so it's been something that we've really missed during this pandemic. So we're very excited to be baptizing Clark Hall this Sunday. And of course, that will also bring back our custom of singing this wonderful baptism hymn, "O God of Gentle Strength." This is a wonderful text by Patricia Clark, contemporary hymn writer, set with an 18th century hymn tune that hopefully will still be somewhat familiar since we sing it fairly often. At the communion, the choir will be singing a setting of the Agnus Dei from a larger work, from a Missa Brevis by the Norwegian composer Knut Nystedt. As hopefully you know, the choir is preparing to go back to England. We're going to be doing a week of residency in the Ely Cathedral, and part of our duties there will be to sing a Mass. And we're actually going to be spending a few days in Paris before we go to Ely, and so we'll be singing this Mass on Saturday night at Church of La Madeleine, a Catholic church, as well as Sunday morning at the American Cathedral, which is part of the Episcopal Church of America. So we'll be singing this Mass 3 times, and we need to sort of get our feet wet with that. So we're going to be singing the Agnus Dei as the communion anthem. And of course, the text, "O Lamb of God that takes away the sins of the world, have mercy upon us." And Nystedt sets it a little bit with that jazz influence, like George Gershwin, but a very, very murky bent on that kind of jazz feel. a very kind of interesting thing, but we also felt like that it really went along because, of course, Sunday is Halloween, and having a little bit of spooky music is entirely appropriate for a day when we're using our imaginations for this really fun holiday. And we might even have another Halloween surprise or two up our sleeves. So join us on Sunday, if you dare.